Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here. My name is André Melancia, and I am currently in Lisbon. So we just hosted our own event for the Global Power Platform Bootcamp, and I was fortunate enough to be selected to be speaking here as well. And we finished about an hour ago, give or take. This one that you can hear is my cat. So you just saw this cat here just meowing a bit. This is normal. This is normal for my cat. Let me just say my cat. Okay. My cat likes to show up on television, and then she will be quiet, hopefully. Okay. And as I mentioned, I usually do a few sessions all over the world, and I've done a session some time ago for Ludinghausen as well. Not so long ago, in fact. Very nice. And today we will talk about Power Platform, which is a very strange concept.
Right.
So
this was exactly 1 year ago.
Was it? Oh, okay.
Yes, I can post
ago.
the link in the chat.
Oh, spectacular. Amazing. I didn't expect this to be that long ago. Time passes very fast when you are in the middle of a pandemic, I suppose.
Yes.
Anyway, greetings from Lisbon and from everyone. And a quick mention that I did a quick stop in Bulgaria to do a session there as well. And all of the speakers that we had in our event in Lisbon also had like 3 or 4 sessions in multiple places. So this was very, very confusing to organize all of this, but really happy that I think this is the final session in your event. In my case, it's also going to be the final session of the day. It's been a crazy 2 days with workshops and with normal sessions, so it's going to be a good end. And hopefully next time this has to be in person with foods.
This would be awesome.
Okay, so would you like to talk about the slides? I don't know all of the details, but
a little bit. What this says is that there will be the European Power Platform Conference in Berlin from 6th to 8th of April. And if you put in the discount code, you will get a discount of 10% if you buy the cards for this. That was it.
Okay, perfect. So you know what to sign up for, and hopefully this one will have food. Okay, let's get to it and get started with actual interesting things. So first of all, we're going to have a session about Power Platform, but to have Power Platform, you need to have an Office 365 tenant. And you probably already have Office 365 for, most things like email and a lot of other things. But in our case, we have an Office 365 developer program so that you can have your own tenants and completely destroy it if you want to, okay? If you destroy it, you can get another one and so on. But if you want to keep it around as a pet for a while, you will be able to renew it on a regular basis. However, you will not be able to use it for production reasons. Oh, okay. A lot of noise on that side. Okay, this is a live session, so a lot of noise is normal. Okay, so just use this address and have access to this. I will actually copy paste this into the chat as well. But if you are watching this recording a bit later on, you will be able to see it. You will be able to see it in the video and pause it and actually see it. Okay. Another content that I can share with you is that there were a lot of workshops and things that were recommended by the global team and by a lot of people for Power Platform. So all of the different products have a lot of different workshops. And Ricardo Cabral, who helped me organize the event in Portugal, actually created a GitHub list with a lot of different links to point to the correct places. It's really well organized, so I do recommend that you have a look at that list because it gives you all of the information that you need to get started, plus with updated stuff, right? Okay, a few more links that the global team actually provided to all of the organizers. So you are free to welcome to see all of this, but some of these are also on the previous list, and I do recommend that you try the previous list first. Okay, having said that, let's talk about Power Platform. And we have a lot of things. So the first one that you probably never heard of is something called Power BI, the yellow one here. And this is a very strange tool that allows you to do graphics. And probably the first thing I used in my personal computer when I got it in 1990s, give or take, was to be able to use graphics. I used different programs at the time. Power BI wasn't available, but things have come a long way since then, and Power BI is currently the tool of choice for pretty much everything. So you can use Power BI in any kind of business, get data from pretty much every kind of data source. So the things that you see here in the bottom, these data connectors here, they will be able to be used pretty much for everything from connecting to a SQL database to some files on disk like Excel, CSV, anything, to be able to go to Azure and fetch information from Azure anywhere like data lake, storage account, or even to get monitoring and even billing information from Azure. But you can also go and get things from Google Analytics, many others, of course. You can even go to a web page and simply say, I want the contents of this web page. And if there are tables on that web page, you can transform those tables into Power BI queries and then, data sets so that you can use it and visualize the information. Okay, so next up we have Power Virtual Agents. And what are these? Well, these are not secret agents, although the way to do it is not really a secret. It's actually quite easy. You can use Power Virtual Agents to act as chatbots, and you can deploy them in Teams. We are currently running in Teams. You can deploy it in Teams. You can deploy it in Facebook. You can deploy it in pretty much a lot of different places, even things like a simple website. You can embed it into a website. Okay, so we'll have a look at this one as well. You also have Power Apps and Power Automate. Now, all of these things are all connected together, but let's mention Power Apps. So I have no idea if any of you have ever used Microsoft Access. This is obviously a product that's been around for 25 years or more, and it's still useful in small things. Okay, for instance, doing the forms nowadays is not very useful. It's become a bit obsolete, but it had VBA and things like that. It was very practical to automate some simple forms so that you could provide it some people at work, etc. That would be easy. Plus, this was user level things, so anyone can create a simple form like that. It was very easy. And then if things got a bit more complicated, the IT people would come into play and they would transform whatever was a very simple homemade app inside of Microsoft Access, and they would create a very big one somewhere with proper code like Visual Basic, C#, etc. Right? Well, Power Apps works pretty much the same way, so anyone can use it. Anyone who has obviously a license to use it, or a trial at least, you can use it. You can create your own forms so that you can gather information. But the difference is in in Microsoft Access, this was very limited. You had your own computer, etc. And this was a local thing that you had just on your computer. But with Power Apps, you can use your phone. So this is tightly connected to Office 365. So you can share those Power Apps with everyone in your organization. They will be able to fill in information on those Power Apps. Okay. And in this case, you can pretty much do anything you want. Now, this can be something simple that you can connect to your source of data so that you fill in information. Let's say that you needed to come up with a form or something to fill in huge amount of tables from some stuff that you recently acquired, some needs to have information on a table. A Power App is an ideal scenario. People just write into it. They can use it over the phone or a computer, and instead of actually creating an app yourself, doing testing, etc., and doing all of the crazy steps that take weeks to actually deploy, in a Power App, you can do it in 5 minutes. You get the information in. It's not going to be perfect because it might have some bugs, etc., but at least it will be all in a, let's say, a database, for instance, or it can be an Excel or whatever you want, and that will be very useful for you to later on take that information, put it into a proper information system, and then decide what to do with it in a bigger scale. But starting point is good. Power Apps is highly used in conjunction with Dynamics as well. If you've never talked about Dynamics 365 and Dynamics in general, Dynamics is an ERP that Microsoft has that pretty much has business things in a lot of different areas. So you can use Dynamics It is not cheap, so small companies probably don't use it that much. But the companies that we use it, they are fully fledged ERPs that can actually be used in a lot of things. But what is the trick with pretty much every ERP? It's not really the interface, because you can create any interface in 5 minutes in a lot of different technologies, but it does have some storage, some tables, a lot of different contents that can be reused in a lot of places. So the Dynamics database will actually be reused, and that's where Dataverse comes in. So you see that green symbol there, which looks like a lettuce, okay? And this is very confusing because I can show you this, but when we were hosting this in Lisbon, give me a second. This symbol here is actually very similar to the symbols that you use in Lisbon, because lettuce is the official. There was a area in Lisbon that actually uses these kinds of lettuces kind of formats. So it's very confusing for us. The reaction for people here was, oh, you're putting a lettuce there. It's very strange. But anyway, a Dataverse is simply a database, okay? It has tables, but those tables by default, you have like, I don't know, 100 tables, probably much more. And those tables are mostly empty in the beginning, but you can fill in the information. You can have information, I don't know, for customers or clients. You can have information for, I don't know, products, anything else. Those will be stored in the Dataverse. And this is the kind of tables that are common in any kind of ERP that everyone uses. So why is this useful? Well, it's very simple, because when you have an ERP, let's say you have others like SAP, so especially in Germany you have SAP. There's quite a few of them here in Portugal as well, created by Portuguese companies, but all of them have one thing in common. They create an ecosystem all around that product, in which typically it's not the company that devises the product, that deploys the product to the clients. There's some middle companies that actually do the implementation for all of those clients, and those companies need to develop a bit more. So if they have a database which is common to pretty much all of the clients, they can just reuse the code. If all of the clients have different databases with different table names and things like that, that would be very impossible to develop, because every new version, every bug fix would require, I don't know, 100 different versions to deploy to 100 different clients. So if you can reuse it, that would be great. So you have that for things like SAP, but Dataverse will also have this for the Microsoft world as well. And this is very practical, okay? There is a cost, blah, blah, blah. Let's not go into costs today. That would just be crazy. Okay, so Dataverse can also be used inside of Power Apps. So remember, Dataverse is not really a product that you interface with. It's just what's in the background. So obviously everyone has heard of SQL Server, but pretty much all of the clients that use SQL Server have never heard of SQL Server. IT people know it, but behind the scenes, it works really well. It's amazing, but people don't know about it because they don't care. They have a nice interface. It just works. And that is the same with Dataverse. And actually, that is the same with all of the other things, including things like Azure, etc. They don't care what it is. They just want it to work. Okay. So you also have Power Automate, which is the last of the top 4 that we have here. And Power Automate allows you to do any kind of actions. So an example of that is, let's say, and I will try to do that in a bit. Let's say you receive an email and from, let's say, your boss, and then you want to automate the process of answering to that email if it comes from your boss. So you do a workflow to say, receive the email. Okay, is it from my boss? If it is, then you do something else. If not, you just ignore it. And if it is from the boss, you can just say, I'm working on it. So thank you very much. I'm working hard on it. And then you're at the beach having fun. Okay, so yes, you can do it. Portuguese people use this technique a lot to get rid of work. So anyway, Power Automate can be used for other things. I will try to demo one where, or show you one where we got stuff from Twitter about the current events. Okay, the Global Power Platform 2022 hashtag. So GPP. B 2022 hashtag. So I dump things into it, and then I'll take the content of it, and I will try to do a demo with it later on. It's already running, because if you start to run it, it might take a bit of time. I didn't want to risk it, so I know it is running. It took a bit of time to actually get it to run. Okay, so let's have a look at the other smaller icons that we have here. So one of them is something called the AI Builder. What is it? Well, it seems like a very complicated technology. Actually, same as the Power Virtual Agents. Feels like a very complicated technology, but in fact, in the background, it uses very common technologies. So if you've heard of Azure Cognitive Services, actually 1 year ago when I was presenting here as well to Ludinghausen was exactly on cognitive services, and AI Builder has some of those cognitive services inside. You can do image processing, you can do text analytics, you can do things like sentiment analysis, for instance, and those are inside your AI Builder. You can use it. It's very easy to use. Power Virtual Agents also have internally a lot of things that are from cognitive services, such as language understanding services, etc. But there is a difference. In Power Virtual Agents, everything is transparent to you. You just have a nice interface that any user can create in terms of bots, but then it just works. While in things like the Azure bots, which is the equivalent version of Power Virtual Agents, but on the Azure side, those will have to be under your control. So Power Virtual Agents, everything is done automatically. It's pretty much like Office 365. When you go to Office 365 forms, or when you go to access your email, or do OneDrive content, OneNote, etc., anything you want, all of those are handled for you automatically. You do no code, anyone can use it. But if you use things like Azure here, this, unlike the other one, which is software as a service, all of these are things like platform as a service and infrastructure as a service. That means you have to do some work. The code is yours. You have to provide the codes, the source codes, and then Azure will provide the infrastructure, and you have to manage that infrastructure. A bit more, a bit less, depends on the case, but you have to manage it. So the equivalent of Power Virtual Agents would be your Azure bots, and the Azure bots will also use language understanding services. They can use Q&A Maker. They can use a lot of other things. Okay. Now, if you are using the Azure bots, if you need to do some action, get data from somewhere, you just do some coding and it's done. But with Power Virtual Agents, because these are graphical tools to actually acquire data from other sources, you need some help. And that help comes from Power Automates. So that means that you can have a Power Virtual Agent, a Power Apps, and those, if they need information, they will be able to talk to Power Automate and acquire the information, or even send out information. So for instance, in the case of Power Apps, if you're just reading from a SQL database, the connector itself, so the data connector that you have there, actually works okay. You don't have to worry about going in and going out, and it's automatic for you. But for some other data sources, you have to set up a Power Automate, so basically a flow, a workflow, and that workflow will simply read information into Power Apps or send information from Power Apps into the destination location. Okay. In the case of SQL, you don't have to. I will try to show a bit of SQL, but we only have 1 hour for all of this, so it's impossible to do more detailed demos. But in any case, Power Automate is very powerful to use it like this, and anyone can use it. If you have Office 365, I'm sure you have a license to use Power Automate, and depends on the size of the license. You might have 1,000 flows per month, 2,000, 5,000. I have no idea. I don't keep current with the limits. When I need it, I'll look into it because they keep changing. But in your case, that means that even if it was just 1,000, that means that if you have 30 days in 1 month, you can run at least 30 flows per day. So that will be more than enough, assuming you sleep most of the time. That means that if you receive emails, etc., 30 per day will be a reasonable number. But you probably have a bigger number than that in the case of Power Automate. Okay, having said that, so Dynamics, we talked a bit about Dynamics, Office 365, etc. Just to mention that all of these products are not individual products. All of these are connected together. They might seem individual because you consider them as separate licenses, etc., but they actually work very much together. The technologies that they are under the hoods are pretty much the same. So everything is in similar data centers, similar technology underneath, and they just work. Okay, so we'll have a look at some of these individually. Okay, and the first one is our famous Power Virtual Agents. So these are very interesting. And to actually test this, I've created a tenant. I've actually not used that link, but it's exactly equivalent to that. So you can use that link that I provided at the very beginning, and you have all of this information here, which is your current tenant, which is a new one. So you go to admin.microsoft.com once you have that thing, and then you will be able to manage all of your users, all of your things, etc. So that's easy enough. I have a new tenant just created yesterday. And what do I need to do? Well, there's a few things that you can go to. Let me give you a link, and aka.ms/trypva. This actually redirects to a different place. Okay, and wait a minute. Oh, for some reason, I don't have this in the screen. Give me a second. Let me just share this because I will need to share things with you. So let me just put this on all of the windows. Sorry about this. 1 second. I have virtual desktops, and this window was only available for one. So let me just share this with you. Okay. So now it should be okay. Yep, now it's okay. So you have powervirtualagents.microsoft.com. In fact, if you click on sign in, you will go to powerva.microsoft.com or web.dat, and then you have some bots. First thing that you might see is that the first time you try this, they will ask you for trial stuff, etc. That's okay. You know, I've created this already, so I don't have that. But the first thing you'll see is a screen that says welcome. Please create a new bot, okay? And you get a screen that looks like this. You give it some bot name. So Dr. Evil cats bots, okay, something like that. What language will you speak? So German. You know, I can try this one in German and we can see if this works, but I'm not exactly an expert, so I'm not sure what I'm about to see, but we can try it, okay? In the meantime, while this is creating a bot, I will show you the English one, and then once this is created, we can see if this is working or not. I'm not sure, never tried it. This will be the first time. Now, each bot that you have, each Power Virtual Agent, is actually made up of multiple topics. And topics are pretty much workflows, okay? So you have some action, some trigger that defines when you start a workflow. And this can be just pointing into it from a different workflow, or if you have certain keywords. And there is a keywords that you have here, which is, if you start the one that says greeting, the keywords are good afternoon, good evening, etc. Okay? And then you can see that trigger phrases, etc. I'm a virtual agent, and then they will give you just some messages. It can be a different flow. So if you click on this, you can say call an action, which will be, you can authenticate, you can create a flow with Power Automate, or you can simply show a message, redirect to a different topic, so to a different workflows, okay? Or you can simply say, I just want to end the conversation. And the option to transfer to an agent might be to transfer to a human agent, we're assuming, okay? Give you some information, maybe a link to jump to an agent or something else, but the decision on how this is implemented is entirely up to you. So let's just say some hello, and let's see what happens here. Okay, so you have some messages, hello, trigger phrases, message, and all of these messages that you see. So what can I help you with today? This actually happened, okay? Now, if you go back to topics, there's going to be some other ones. This one will show you the store hours. This will ask you, are there any stores close to us? And they will give you lists. And then this one will say buy items. Now I can click on this individually and then we'll see what happens. But I'm going to be very lazy and click on this option that says that every time I type a message here, they will jump into the correct topic, and then they will show you how we are going on in terms of debugging. Okay, so that's basically the same as being on Visual Studio and clicking a step, the step option. Instead of running the F5, you click on the step and you gradually see it, and they will jump into the correct code. So let's try it like this. So let's say store hours, something like that. So that will jump into the first lesson. Actually, end of conversation in this case. It jumped so much that it went into the end of conversation. But I will show you that from the beginning. Okay, a simple topic. So when are the store hours? And remember that this does not have to be in exact texts. You can actually have similar text to this, okay? And then happy to show you the hours. All of these are messages, so that's fine. And then when you jump into the end, they will say, okay, so what was the last one? 4 p.m. So 4 p.m. and then did I answer your question? Well, it's not here. So you have to go to the next part, so view topic. And this is the part that says, did that answer your question? And then they have a question of their own. And they say it's a Boolean, but it can be a multiple choice. I'll show you that in a second. And that multiple choice or that Boolean will have an if like this. So true, false, or something else. And if you are a database person, you know that true, false, and then something else might happen. It can be a null, it can be a weird thing. And if you go to things like JavaScript and things like that, you have the undefineds, etc. So you always know that there's true, there's false, and there's always something else. Okay, so so always define an option for this something else parts. Okay, let's assume that I said yes, confirmed success, confirmed failure is what happens in terms of redirection. I'll turn this off so it doesn't jump to it directly. So it says yes, and it goes to green, and then I say view topic, and then it says, okay, so that's fine, thank you very much. Please give us a rating, etc. You can give it a text, whatever. So give us a rating for the scenario. And then you say something, and then they say, thank you for your feedback, and can I help you with anything else? Now it's multiple choice, yes or no, thank you. So depending on each of these, you can have, this one is simple. So if you say yes, you say, go ahead, I'm listening, but there's a plus sign here saying that nothing will happen. It will just stop, okay? And then it will wait for you to say something, and then you can start in any workflow. However, if you say redirect to goodbye, it will jump to goodbye and maybe do a closing option or something like that, okay? So if I say yes, they will say, go ahead, I'm listening, so you can continue on to this. I will turn this back on because I'm very lazy and I need to find this very quickly. And if I say buy a product or something like that, so buy is okay, that will jump into, if I'm not mistaken, lesson number 3, exactly. And that will say, what state are you shipping to? So the options we have is California, Washington, Oregon, or you can simply say, okay, Ludinghausen. It's not a state, but you get the idea. Okay, so they will say, I have no idea what this is. Oh yeah, it's a limitation here, so I do have to identify a state. That's annoying. Okay, so let's say a state, Alaska. Okay, so that will jump into that. There will be an additional shipping charge of something because there was the 3 or 4 that were previously defined, but this one is all others, and they will give you an extra message. Is that okay? Yes or no? If it's no, you say goodbye and thank you very much. If it is yes, you continue to buy things. Okay, and then they will say, is this acceptable? I'm going to say yes. It jumps into this, and then they say, what do you want to buy? Let's say it's a laptop computer. Okay, and then from here it will jump into goes all the way down. I'm going to skip some of that part, but and then it jumps into end of conversation. So it asks a lot of questions, etc. Maybe the next one, maybe goes to the shopping cart or something like that, and then says, did that answer your question? This we already seen. This is the end of the bot conversation. But in the middle, you can jump to the cart, you can do payments, actual payments, etc. There's a lot of things that you can do with this. Okay. Now, just to mention quickly, because we don't really have time to do a 1-hour demo on each of these technologies. So here you have entities. For instance, you have things like age, city, color, continent. The states that you had there, these are states. So why doesn't it work? Because you have things like Washington, Arizona, South Carolina. There is many more. This is just a few examples. But in this case, if you say AZ for Arizona or Washington or WA, for instance, that will work as a state. This is mostly for the United States, although I'm assuming that this will also have available maybe provinces and things like that from Canada, from Australia, etc. Probably, okay? I haven't tried, to be honest. But if it doesn't, you can just create a list yourself, create your own custom identity. So let's say closed lists, in this case, usage type. You can create your own and say, you can enter more items if you want here, and then say home user, gamer, business user. And then synonyms is whatever you can use as well to relate to that one, okay? So you have a lot of entities. Analytics just gives you information. This will be mostly empty because as I've created this bot just a few hours ago. I have used it in a demo 2 hours maybe, but this will not give us enough information to show this. But you know, it was a good try. last but not least, oh, I do have something here. It's not going to be a lot, but I do have something here, okay? But abandonment rates, so yeah, we abandoned this a bit. I have to be honest, the session is over, you just continue. But there is some useful information that you can get, but give it some time, wait a week or something like that until you get information, and then you get useful metrics. Just doing a demo like this is not possible to get useful information out of this. Now, you can just say publish, okay? And I have published this one already, and because I've published this, I can go to my demo website, and this one will have the code here for my previous one, which was my evil bot, okay? There was another evil bot from before. So if you say store hours, it will be the same, okay? So you have this. This is something that you can literally give an address of this thing. You can embed it in your applications or in your websites. This works really well. But you can also put it, as I mentioned, in some channels. So while each of these channels will handle it in a different way, like mobile app, your own website, so as an embed, you can put it on Facebook, Skype, Slack, Telegram as well, so many others here. But let me just explain what happens. For instance, for Facebook, it's when you have a page on Facebook, and then you enter the page, and the page pops up and says, "Can I help you today?" Which is very annoying. At that point, you don't have any privacy issues, but if you continue to answer to that, then the bot will have some information on you, but not before, only when you answer, okay? Now, if you click on Teams, and you can try this out, but you have to be the admin of the thing, okay? So you need one of these tenants or be the manager of your own. So you can continue on to this. I'm not going to do the next steps, but just to explain what happens. So once you say okay to this, this will jump into a list of apps that are available in your Teams, the Teams app, and then you have to authorize it, you have to approve it. As an administrator of Teams, you have to have permissions to be admin of Teams. Once you do that, you can just associate that with the thing, so that's very easy, okay? And then you can interact with the bot directly from inside of Teams, which is practical for everyone. So you are in the middle of a meeting, you might want to say, oh, just give me the bot to ask me what the time is, or to interact in a different way, okay? It's actually very nice. Anyway, this is the Power Virtual Agents. I can't go any faster than this to show you Power Virtual Agents. However, if you go to Azure Bots, for instance, they use the same bot framework that you have underneath the hood here, and they use similar technologies, language understanding services, etc. Although in this case you do not see it, they are there in both cases. Okay, but in this one you have to have a nice interface and everything's done for you. In the other one, you handle this yourself. Okay, so next one, Dataverse. We talked about this already. You have a lot of custom tables. You have a lot of possibilities of extending those tables and adding new tables to the Dataverse. So that makes it very easy. You can also create some model-driven apps in Power Apps, which are specific to Dataverse and are very powerful. We don't have time to demo those specifically. What I will show you is for the Power Apps, I will show you the Canvas apps. So you have Canvas apps, you have model-driven apps, and you have portal apps. Okay, portal apps are basically a website that you can, play around with. So that's actually very useful. But in our case, we'll do the first one, the Canvas apps, which is probably the simplest point to get started. Okay, just to mention before I go to the demo itself, that you can actually get the version of this on the phone. I'm not going to demo this live because it's probably going to be a bit difficult for me to try, especially because I'm using a special tenant, not the one that I have here. Okay, so it's not possible to try it at this moment, but you can get it from the store. Same as the other apps. You have apps for Power Apps, you have apps for Power Automate, you have apps for Power BI. Okay, you have it for the phone, you have it for the PC as well. So just use them. They are very practical. Okay. So when we are here, let's try Power Apps. So to do that, you go to make.powerapps.com. So if you just go to powerapps.com, you will eventually find yourself here. So this is easy, and I need some contexts, okay? So I will start my Management Studio because I will get information from my Management Studio. It takes a few seconds to get started, so I do apologize for the small delay, but while that's happening, we'll talk about what we see here. So we have things like AI Builder, and so while this is loading, I will actually show you the possibility of using AI Builder. So you have the possibility of integrating AI Builder with a lot of different scenarios. So here in AI Builder, you can actually see that you have, let's say, extract information from invoices or from receipts, do OCR on some texts, or you can detect positive, negative, neutral sentiment in text data. So I can test this here. This is the same as Cognitive Services Text Analytics. So let's say English. Oh, by the way, I never got to show you the virtual agents. I'll show you that in a second. The one that was created in German. I'm actually very curious about what's going to happen with that one. Anyway, nice going. Okay, and analyze texts. Okay, let's say if I try, I'm not a big expert in German, so can anyone translate this? I have no idea. So analyze text. Is this good? Is this bad? Seems to be
Well,
7.
This is meaning that was very easy to register for online invoicing.
Okay, so 70%. It's still not that easy because it's only 70%. But okay, the phrase, let's assume that the phrase is just there for a positive sentiment, and thank you for the translation. But that phrase did not convince the cognitive services in the background. Okay, but you can have a lot more, and then you can use this in both Power Apps and Power Automate. Let's try now. In fact, since I forgot to show you this, let's try this one. Guten Tag. Maybe is this in? Okay, yeah. Virtual agent, something. Yeah. So
yeah,
it was polite in German. So yeah, you know. So I think pretty much what you have here is the same as the other one. I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay. I haven't seen it, but I'm assuming it's the same. So if you want to try it in German, should work. No worries. Okay. So this was something I forgot from the previous demo. Let's go back to the Power Apps now. And by this time, we should have our thing here. So we connect. In this case, I'm going to connect to a SQL database in Azure. Okay. It can be any kind of SQL, but if this was in your own on premises, you had to have a data management gateway, so that would have some extra work. But in this case, let's keep it simple. It is in Azure. It has permissions to be accessible by Power Apps, so it's not difficult. And in my databases, I have a lot of tables. Okay, so one of them is the one that comes with the thing, which is the sales LT from AdventureWorks. So you can do a sample. When you ask to create a SQL database, you can do a sample of AdventureWorks LT, and that's the results here. I'm going to show you one to show you why I'm not going to use this one as a demo, okay? And tell you exactly how to fix it, but it takes a bit of time, a few minutes, and let's not waste that time. So in this case, let's say you create a Power App based on this table here. Because all of these do not allow nulls, some of these might have a default, which is okay. We can just use the defaults. However, things like password hash does not have it, so I would have to write something myself. That's fine. But things like rogue ID, they do have a new ID default value. So if they have the default value, I don't need to fill it in. Plus, the Power Apps don't really understand the concept of rogue ID if I just use the wizard. They ask me to fill in something, but they don't even give me the option to do it. So in this case, when you go to a Power App, if you receive things that are already with the default and you don't want to force the user to submit that specific field, you can just simply go there and remove the option that says required, okay? Or you just remove it altogether. It's your option. But you remove the required option because although it does not allow nulls, it does have a default value, so you don't have to fill it in, okay? So you can make it simple for you. So that's the trick if you want to use the customer, the product, etc., because they all have the rogue ID here as an option. But in my case, I'm actually going to use the Bond Films table, and you've probably heard of these people, you know, Bond people, and you know, MI6 and stuff like that. So the result of this will be a table with all of the films. I use this a lot in different kind of sessions, but basically I did a test here yesterday. Today I did a test from Lisbon to Bulgaria a few hours ago when I was doing a similar session to this in Bulgaria also. But this is pretty much what we expect to do at this stage, okay? Let's see what happens. So first of all, we go here. Let's go to create. and then I have either a blank app, I can get it from the Dataverse, I can get it from SQL, okay? Pretty much all of the wizards are the same, so I click on SQL, and you can start from scratch, but that's a lot of work. Start with something nice, even if you get an Excel with something nice, and then do the rest of the work, but create the columns, etc. Let the wizard do the work for you. Now, let me just mention the Dataverse again. So to be able to demo a bit of the Dataverse, you have accounts, you have contacts, you have, if you go all the way to the ends, most of these will be empty, okay? So you'll have to search each of them to find it. But if you want to start somewhere, for instance, you can start with the users table that already has something. So if you want to create an app based on Dataverse, start with the users table. That's the simplest one you can start with. It has a lot of users inside. Those are created automatically. Now, let's go for My Adventure Works. This was previously logged in, enter the information, password, etc. And I have my Bond films here, so I'm going to connect, okay? And this will take just a few seconds to load, okay? And while this is happening, so this should be okay. While this is happening, I'm going to mention a few more things. So I'm going to create, based on that table, so that table, let's go again. Oh, it's already done. Based on that table, let's see the fields that are available. So film ID, title, year, Bond actor again, and then some payment column, some useful column for something. Now, in this case, this is all too small. Let's give this a bit. So what we see here, well, this is a nice interface that allows you to interact in a very easy way with pretty much everything. Okay, so if you remember things like Visual Studio, normal desktop apps in Visual Studio, or Microsoft's Access and things like that, you know that this is a label, and in the label you have secrets lists. Secret MI6 lists, okay? So you can give it some name or something like that. All of these are buttons. This is also a button as well. So you have this browse screen, which is this one. You have a detail screen. So if you click on the right link, you can change this to a button if you prefer. This is very typical here, but you can change this as a button. And if you click on this, you go to the detail screen specifically for this records. Okay. If you go to the edit screen, you can edit the record. So there's a button somewhere on top that you can just say plus sign, or you can just say edit. In this case, edit, it's going to be a pencil or a pen. Okay, so the edit screen looks like this. So it's similar to the detail screen, but in the detail screen, you cannot edit things. Okay, here you can put these things around and actually play around with this. Actually, not like this. Give me a second. Agent. I can actually move this to this side just to be different. I can change the color. I can change pretty much everything. So color might be, let's say, reds, just to be different. Red color, and then you can do disabled color, hover color. So all of the things that you already know as a developer that you know you can have in pretty much all of these objects, right? So I don't have to explain those parts. Whatever you think about, you can do it here, plus a lot more, okay? If you go to the advanced, you don't have VBA like Access or like Excel or something like that, but you do have the possibility of running actions, okay? Now, let's go back to the browse screen. How does this work? Well, I have a lot of records, and I have something called a browse gallery. And this browse gallery is this. So it mostly occupies most of the screen except for the search column here, the search field here. But pretty much they will repeat all of the things that are inside. So body, subtitle, etc. Okay. Now I'm not happy with this because if I click on the play button, which is just like this, if you then save it, you will be able to use it on the phone. But if I click on the play button, I have this ordered by this in this case it's the actor column, so it's very unpleasant because this is not the way that I want to order things. Okay. If you move it the other way around, you'll see that you have themity, which does not help at all. Okay, you can create a new record. So let me just do that. Okay, so let's say film ID 101 agents. So that would be Andy from Ludinghausen. Let's see if this is correct. So Bond actor, let's say again. Okay, and then film title from Lisbon to Ludinghausen, crazy world tour. Okay, so film year 2022, but because I did one of this already, I'll put it 2023, just so if there's a problem, this will be in sequence, just out of curiosity. Payment, again, I never get paid, not even food. So you click on this, and hopefully this is okay. Hopefully this is saved. Let's confirm. So you go here, and you try to execute it again, and then you try to see if things are there or not. From Lisbon to Ludinghausen, and that's crazy. Okay, so all of this is okay. So we have our data. In this case, it wasn't even necessary to create Power Automates so that you can interact with this. It just worked. Okay, so really, really nice. Really good, what I expected. So let's get rid of this one. And now you have the same thing, but I'm not happy with this. So obviously, I could customize this a lot. We will not have time to try out all of this, but I will just show you one or two things that I'm not happy with. So the first one is I'm in the browser gallery. I have some properties here which are, mostly visual, but the advanced here, except for this one, data source, fields, etc. The advanced has things like sort by columns, etc. So you can sort this out. I'm not happy with the fields that I have here in terms of sorting. So I will say that I will sort by film year. Film year. That's okay. Is that the way to say it? That's the way to say it. Okay, so film year, by the way, you can rename these things, but let's keep it simple. Okay, and again, I'm not happy with the fields that I'm showing here. So if you are a developer, you're probably going to say, oh, I'll just select each one and then move them or something like that. Yeah, you can do that, but this has a template and there are easier ways to do this. So you again select gallery, it has a data source, it has a layout. You might choose a different layout, including some images. You can put some images there like an address and then refer to that field as the address, and that will get those images into this, let's say on the left. It's automatic and it works really well. Again, gallery, and then you say edit. So which fields do I want? Well, title on top, I'm going to say that I want the film itself. Bond actor, that's fine, in the middle, but then the body, so the detail, I want the film year, okay? So I selected the film year. So far, so good. Now, problems. I have a sorting option to the top and to the bottom, and the action that you take here is the action that you take here on select, so on click, pretty much, is you update the variable that says sort ascending 1, you update it to the inverse of sort ascending. This is true or false, so pretty much you will get inverse. And then because you had this in the browse gallery here, you had the sort by columns, but then if sort ascending 1, which I'll show you here, so if sort ascending 1, it's one or it's the other, you can just use it in a very easy way. By the way, if you want to search for things in the box, you can specify different fields to search for. At this moment, only these two are valid to search for. Okay, so let's see if the result works. I'm always very scared to see this. So it's inverse, so 23, 22, 21, 1962. So this is clearly the first one. This is all correct. Okay, so you can actually see them from beginning to end. Okay, also, okay, so we had a look at this. So Dr. No, so you have film ID 1, so all of the information. Remember that the agent label, I moved it to and customized it, but all of this is here. If I'm not happy with this, I can actually change this and then click OK. I'm not going to do that now, but I can actually change it and see the results. Okay, so these are very simple canvas apps. You can complicate your matters a lot with things like Power Automate, all of the interaction. It can go much more difficult than this. You can spend weeks just explaining all of the functionality that's available here. It's quite a lot. Okay. However, let's move on because we are limited in time, and we can talk about Power Automate. So how does that work? Well, Power Automate is a very simple workflow that allows you to do some kind of actions. And I have some here already. So I have here. So what would you like to automate? Okay, and in this case, I will show you some of the things I already have. This is a different tenant. I'm not using the test tenant that you had there. I'm using mine, my tenant specifically, but I have some flows here already. By the way, these were actually adapted from the template. So if you go to the templates, I will try to get data from Twitter. So I have my Twitter here. So if I search for Twitter, I have things like run sentiment analysis on tweets. All we have to do here is to provide a cognitive services in Azure address and key. Okay, that's simple. Send an email for new tweets about a certain keyword. That's useful. Okay, I've had this a long time when my Twitter app stopped working and didn't show me notifications. I actually created this. And I started to receive this kind of information on my phone. But in the last 2 years, I didn't have this problem. But before, this was a problem. So I used this for a long time, maybe about 2 years, 3 years. I used this. Very useful. RSS newsfeed to Twitter, so you send it the other way around. You can do some other crazy things, save to Excel, save to a database, etc. You can customize this. Okay, so the one that I selected. I can't remember which one it was, but I got tweets and then send it to an email or something like that. So it was something similar to this, but it wasn't this. Okay, so but I'll show you anyway. So I have my flows. I have my flows here as well. Is this version 2? Version 2. So this should be running at this moment. Okay, no guarantees, but this should be running. So let's see all runs, and I have tons of them. A lot of them said succeeded. Okay, so which things am I looking at? So let's go to edit. So the first box, and actually I did this one from scratch. I didn't copy from the templates. I did this one from scratch, or not. I'm not sure. No, I actually copied this one. So I got this address here, and if you go to this one, if you go to Twitter, actually this one has a lot, but I had this demo test here, and I had quite a few others, but let's go to this one specifically. Okay. So you have 8 minutes ago, okay, and then you have more things. So in the last hour that we did this demo, a lot of people are actually submitting. So this is about the reasonable number that we had, like 7 or 8 that we had. However, I asked for these things to be sent. First of all, I'm going to get some more information about, this was tweeted by a user. I want to get more information about that user. So this will provide me more information about the number of followers, the number of, stuff that the user actually has. And then you can send an email. And in this case, I had to change this. This was actually a template, but I had to change this from the send mail to the send an email version 2, but from Office 365 Outlook. Okay, and this is important. So this one, you have a lot of send email, for instance. For instance, if you say send email, so you have the mail itself, but this one is very picky about things. But you have, so this one, but you also have send with Office 365 Outlook, but you can also send it with Office, not with Office 365, but with Outlook.com. So if you have an account or with Gmail or something like that. So all of these will be here. Send an email with Outlook.com. These are obviously different. So you have to log in with your account, etc., and then it works. In my case, I'm using my own accounts. So this works really well, and I've decided to send an email about this. Okay, so in this case, the email will have some information. What is this? I'm going to send this to Ada. So Ada Lovelace is someone who was one of the pioneers of computing. This was a long time ago. She was the daughter of Lord Byron, the dude that wrote a lot of books, and obviously, this is my destination. I'm going to show you this. This was actually the name of the virtual room that we created for our event in Lisbon. So we reused the thing. It was practical. Anyway, you can say subject and then have new tweet, and these are variables. So tweet text is something that comes from here. Okay, so you can get this from here, tweeted by, tweet text, etc. And some of these come from here. The other ones might come from the second window. In terms of, symbol, both of these look the same. But if you had different windows, they will all have a different color, different symbol. So they will gradually have the first part, the second part. I'm not sure if there's a separator here. Probably not. Oh, this one, when a new tweet appears, and this one is get user. So they do separate, although the symbol is the same, you do have the extra information. And then here you can say this was tweeted at certain dates, see it's with an address, and then they construct the address from here. This is actually constructed in real time, username, blah, blah, blah. So all of the stuff, right? And then this will get sent into the email address. You click on save, and then you see the results. Now the results are, in the last hour, this has been used a bit. So we'll actually see new tweets. This is always coming from me, okay? But new tweets. Our community is currently ongoing. Links Nigeria. And then glad he was here. Power Automates. Oh, I can't remember where these locations were from. So let's go to the top ones. So this one is probably too recent for it to be deployed, but this one, oh, maybe this one will show up here from Frank. I'm not sure. New tweets, maybe not yet. So I might need to refresh this a bit. Maybe we'll see it in Power BI in a few minutes. Well, let's see. But all of these were here, tweeted by, see it here, etc. You could click on it. Actually, the link is not well constructed. I copy pasted this badly. You can do better than this, but this was just for a demo. Okay, so let's see if we can see Frank's tweet 2 minutes ago. This always takes a bit of time, but hopefully this is enough time for me to do my Power BI demo. Okay, there is obviously more that you can do here. So you can get a notification if you connect to something. So if you go to a template that selects send a notification whenever I click something, and one of the flows that was created about this is send myself a reminder in 10 minutes. Now this is not 10 minutes. If you go to edit, this is 1 second or something like that. So manually trigger a flow. You click on a button, and then you say, this is mensagem, that means message, and then you write something that you want here, and then there's a delay of 10 seconds, could be 10 minutes, and then it receives a push notification, an email, something like that. And if you decide to click on the tests manually, this is the same as going to the phone, and on that place, click the button, the big button that says run this one specifically. So message, hello, so run flow, and that will give you the debug of this. Okay, this one is easy because it's not, it's more like manual. The Twitter one will run in the background. You can see the errors, but it's sometimes it's a bit more transparent for us. This one is probably easier to debug. Okay, so this will take a few seconds, so like 10 seconds as they see here, but hopefully we'll be able to see the results. Okay, there is much more. You can also have Power Automate on the desktop version as well. So there is a lot of functionality that you can do. And remember, this Power Automate can actually make miracles in Power Apps and also Power Virtual Agents and other products as well. Okay, so apparently nothing happened, which is strange. I did do the testing, but I did not get results for some reason. It was supposed to show up, right? I was expecting that. Okay, so maybe the last one. So 49 seconds ago, this is the one I want to see. Okay, run successfully. So this one is okay. Inputs, that's going to be mensagem. That's going to be something. Where's the texts? Required texts. I said hello, right? I thought I did. Oh, hello. Here we go. Okay, and then delay, and then send a push notification. So I probably received a push notification on my phone. I don't see it, but I'm assuming that it is there. Maybe I need to log in again on my phone, but you have a notification saying hello that you receive on your phone, and that's great. By the way, in those notifications, one of the things you can send specifically on this, where you click a button, because you are on a cell phone, you are actually able to go here and say, send a push notification, and then you want to get things like the country, region, city, etc., where you are, but especially latitude and longitude. Oh, this is a panic button. You click the button and they tell you exactly where you are. Okay, so that can be useful for triggering alerts and things like that. Okay, we're running out of time. We only have 5 minutes. So next up, we'll talk about Power BI. This will be our last demo, and I will take that demo based on the stuff that we did before. Okay, so let's hope that this works. So you go to Power BI, and Power BI actually has 2 versions. So while this is running, I will explain. So for the desktop edition, you have the Power BI desktop, and you also have the versions in the clouds. Okay, so Power BI desktop is completely free. You just use it. Power BI in the clouds, it's on app.powerbi.com. You can see it. You have some dashboards. You can share stuff with everyone. You can share stuff with people on the phone. I'm not going to demo that much about that because I think everyone knows about this already. In terms of Power BI, I've even considered if I wanted to do a demo or not, but I will do it, but for a different trick. So continuing the other one. So this one, Power BI desktop. So you can start here. I'm not happy with this. I need to move this other window into this, okay, because it showed up on my other screen. And I'm going to say get data, but I'm going to get it from a different source. So remember, there's even Dataverse here, okay? You can get it from SQL Server, etc. The usual stuff. I'm going to get it from a different place. So remember those emails. Oops, I need them. So how do I get them? Well, the best option would still be to put this into a database or an Excel or something like that in your OneDrive. Yes, I know it's true, but let me do the demo like this. So let's say Exchange. There was obviously hundreds of connectors for Power BI. I don't need to say this. There have been a lot of sessions today, both in Ludinghausen, but also all over the world. And Power BI was also very strong with this. But I'm just going to show you the weird connectors like this one. So this one is Exchange Online. The other one is just for on-premises. This one is the one you need for Office 365. You will have a message that will not show here, and that message will ask you after you enter this, they will ask you for usernames and passwords. It's not going to be the Exchange authentication. It's going to be the Microsoft authentication. Second one, okay? This is a bad trick. Sometimes people find it difficult to do, but it's the second one, not the first one. Now, let's say you had a list of people in your I don't, but let's say you do. You want to extract a list of people that you have on your phone or Outlook, etc. You could just get it from here. It's very easy, okay? You can manage this yourself, figure out how many of them do not have contact information or they are wrong, etc. You can manage it from there or just extract the whole thing, which is better to do it from here, okay? Now, I don't have any, but another example is taking your calendar appointments and saying, how many hours have I reserved with this person here? So you can just define grouping by person, and you say, oh, I've done 20 meetings of 1 hour, and then you define the time, of course, and then you sum all of that together and you determine that I've been talking to this person too much, I haven't been talking to this person enough. Okay, and you can manage your own time from there as well with Power BI, with graphics. How many people do you talk to? How many clients? But now let's have a look at the mail, and the mail is interesting. So new tweets. So this one was, we'll have a look at this. Okay, so I'm going to transform data here. And by the way, where is Frank's tweets? Let's look at Frank's tweets. So rocks the stage, something like that. So let's see if this is available. Okay. I really hope so. This is live anyway. So a lot of things can happen. New tweets, something. Maybe it might not show up. I'm not sure, but it might not show up because the @ symbol is at the beginning. So that means it's a reply to something that might not be available. I cannot guarantee this, but maybe that is the reason, okay? Or maybe this is simply delayed, I'm not sure. But my demo test from before is here, and from all of the other ones, they have been here. Maybe there's just a delay, I'm not sure. But okay, we have sender. And in this case, I'm going to remove the email address because I don't want to share personal information. And I'm just going to use the name. Okay, so what do I have here? Well, I have tweets from me, but they come from here. So you can see that they are there from the Twitter. But the actual demo that I was doing 2 hours ago, which was a different demo, was just to find out how many people would send me emails, okay? It wasn't even about the tweets. I've added that for this session. Now, Stefka from Bulgaria, she was moderating all of the sessions in Bulgaria, and she sent me an email. For some reason, it went into spam, but in any case, we could filter this and get rid of the spam. But in fact, because her tweet is actually nice, we'll keep it and we'll see it around, okay? Now, we have our friend Donald Trump, which is a really nice guy. Everyone likes Donald Trump, so we'll have this as well. Make apps great again, which is important. But here, we haven't seen any more information. So I'll just close and apply. Maybe the remaining tweets will show up in time. Okay, while I was closing and applying, this will show up, and this will be my last demo. Okay, so this will take just a few seconds, and yeah, this, let's see if this works. Live demos, they never work as we expect them. Okay, so the mail is here, and I can simply say sender name, which is that way. Obviously, in my case, because I receive all of the tweets, they will show up a lot more, so that's expected, okay? But I will need something else. Let's say it could be the ID, but this will repeat a lot, but I will just need the count of this. So in this case, let me just get the count, because I just want to find out how many people send stuff, okay? Let me just shrink this so that it's a bit bigger. So 8 on my case, Trump is really boring, so 4, and then Ricardo helping me organize Lisbon is 2, Stefka from Bulgaria is 1. So we'll try to have a look at how we can do this. So I'll just copy pastes and create a new one. So if you want to do a graph like horizontal, mine's, because they have a lot of tweets, they have a lot, but let's copy paste this again, and then we'll do something else. So we have the usual things, And yes, this looks, I could customize the rest to make the actual names here, but you get the idea. It's not so much about customizing. If you want a donut chart, it's just like a pie chart, but with a hole in the middle, okay? You're being ripped off. You need the whole stuff, so this is not very good. But let's have a look at the last one, okay? And this one is the one that I really, really like. And this is something called a tree map. Now, you can tell that about 50% of the tree map of the area of this is mine. So it says André. So that means that I'm myself's biggest spammer, okay? And you can tell that Donald Trump is the second biggest. Stefka is actually quite small in terms of number of emails because it's only one. So if you fit into this like this, you'll see more like a bar thing if you want to. But it's up to you. I can tell you that I did this on my own emails, which were about 50 gigabytes at the time. This was already 2 years ago or 3 years ago, maybe more because of the pandemic, we don't know. And all of this actually had something like 3,000 and something unique IDs, unique email addresses, right? And then I decided to do a grouping like this. And then I figured out that 50% of this tree map corresponded to only 20 people. Okay, 20 email addresses. The biggest one was from Microsoft's biggest spammer that I have. Others were from notifications from Twitter, from Facebook, etc., LinkedIn. They were the biggest notifications that I received. But then you started to have people. And one of the things you can do to make your life better is to block the first 20 people in your life. That corresponds to 50% of the emails you receive. And then you can calmly go to the beach, do something else, go to the countryside, and not have to worry about work anymore. Okay, get rid of the first 20%, 20 first people. Those are corresponding to 50%. Job done. Let me just show you the last slides. And I'm not sure if anyone has any questions at this stage, but I think that's for me in 1 hour. I exceeded a bit of time, but for 1 hour, I think that this is the most we can demo for all of these things. As well.
Yeah, sure. That was very impressive. I think you touched every other talk we had throughout the day in your demos.
Okay.
So you kind of wrapped it all up perfectly.
Okay, that's very good. That's very good. This is stressful to do all of this because if one doesn't work, the next one will not work as well.
Exactly.
This is so anyway, I want to thank everyone for being here and for listening to the session. If you are either here in person, I can take your questions now. But if you are remotely later on, you are welcome to go to wendy.pt. And I have a list of all of the videos that I did. Some of them with more detail, Power Virtual Agents, Power Cognitive Services, etc. One of them, and there was a link there, it comes from last year's session that I did for Ludinghausen. So it's already there somewhere. So hopefully in the next few weeks, I will be able to add this one to the list as well. Click on the link and you'll be able to see it as well.
Yeah.